everybody, Brian McCumber here from Tech Money Talks. I'm really excited today because we have a very special guest on the podcast. We are fortunate to have Jordan Welch as a special guest on the show. And for those of us in ecom, you should know who he is because Jordan is a seven-figure professional dropshipper and the founder of Viral Vault, which is one of the one-stop shop for discovering and launching winning products. And if you don't know who he is, then you're missing out big time because Jordan is quickly becoming a major influencer in this space. Jordan continues to raise the bar and has been keeping it real. He's been keeping it real the whole time and helping out a lot of his students on YouTube. If you're interested in starting an online business to make extra money, you better save this episode in your back pocket and listen to it over and over again because the stories and the tips you're going to learn here will give you the opportunity to quickly launch your own business to help your wallet grow fat. Jordan has been absolutely killing it in e-commerce and is also the organizer of the Underground Earners event. They recently just had this event, and I'd say it was the major dropshipping event of the year in Beverly Hills, which is so awesome. And he had absolute ecom killers on there taking the stage. And I know because a good number of them were previous featured guests on Tech Money Talks, and the others are future guests on the show. So time is money, and everyone is looking to get a piece of his time. And I'm so happy to have him on the show today. Jordan, thanks for joining us, man. How's it going?
Man, I'm doing great. Thanks for that awesome introduction.
How was it? Was it good?
Yeah, it was solid, man. I'm excited for this.
Great stuff. Yeah, well, cool, man. Well, hey, for the audience, let's let you share your journey into e-commerce and dropshipping.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm 21 years old now, and I live in California. But I started my journey back in Florida, living with my family. I've actually been on my entrepreneur grind since I was like 14, 15.
Wow.
Started a clothing brand. It completely flopped. I started reselling. It completely flopped. I kept running into failures throughout my years of high school. And when I finished high school, I sort of felt lost. I felt like all this time that I've been putting into this, nothing has come from it. Is it still worth it? So I went to college. And when I went to college, I knew that entrepreneurship was it because college was not it. And that first, I got back home. I just took everything, every dollar I had about 1,500, 2K. And I threw that all into starting an online store and once again ran into failure. But after 3 months of head down focus, not going out, not partying, not talking to all my people, just working every day, I ended up creating my first online income. Then I just pursued that. I ended up dropping out of college the following months and went all in on my business. And that same year, went over to 7 figures in that store.
Wow.
And,
wow. That's awesome. Great stuff, man.
Years of failure, man. And that's one of the things that a lot of people like to breeze by, you know?
Yeah. And so even to take a step back, because I remember in doing the research on you, you're absolutely crushing it. But, you know, for those like outside looking in, they hear these crazy numbers and in such a short period of time and they just can't believe these kind of numbers and they immediately think like this is some get rich quick scheme and it's a scam. But what I'd like you to do is like paint that picture for the audience, you know, as you know, your persistence in building it and then as you led it to your first, you know, level of success.
Yeah, right. Well, let's just focus strictly on the e-commerce journey because the other years, you know, I was in school, I was doing all types of other stuff, but strictly for e-commerce, when I came home for that summer, man, there was nothing else that I did, focused on, or thought about, with the exception of eating and going to the gym. It was working on the business. So every time, every resource, every dollar that I had, I invested into this. And it wasn't like it just worked right away. I lost a lot of money. I failed over and over again. I would test the product, it would fail. And then you wake up and you're like, all right, got to do it again. What I cultivated in that time frame was a real serious work ethic because I realized that if you want to get anything in life, if you want to make it happen, you got to pick one thing and you got to just work hard on it every day and go all in. So, you know, that's what I think a lot of people aren't doing. I think they put one foot in, you know, but they're always a little hesitant to devote what really is needed to get there, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you really hit the nail on the head, which is about the testing and the persistence. So like even duration wise, like how long did that go on for, where it was like trial and error testing, but you had your heart set on you're gonna make this work? How, like, what was the duration like?
Well, if I'm being honest with you, we still do trial and error. That's the heart and soul of every business I've ever built to date. But
Very well said. Yeah.
But in the time frame from going to zero to making my first income online, it
Yeah.
was about 3 months. And, I think that there are things that now that if I had to do it again, I could probably make it happen faster. But when I first started, I didn't really follow that many YouTubers or anything like that. I was really just trying and failing and learning from that. So yeah, about 3 months or so. And after that 3 months, it wasn't like celebration mode. It was just like, now we're making money, so we need to put money into the business again. And the work actually elevated. There was more work after you make more money, but yeah.
Wow, man, very well said for sure. And that's actually even maybe something to talk about, which is the mindset of testing. Like you said, even up to this day, now that you're, crushing it, but you still have that mindset today. Maybe touch on that, which is like the importance of testing.
Well, what I think a lot of people try to do is they try to paint this picture perfect version of how their business is going to be. Like they see these guys creating ecom stores, right? So they say, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to test my first couple of products and it's going to work. And then when it doesn't work, then they fall on their face and they quit. What people need to realize, and what all of my successful students and top like entrepreneur friends that are around me, this is the central point of focus, is that you don't know anything. You're always a student, and the best way to learn in life is just to try. If you're trying to build fitness gains, you're not going to read a bunch of books on fitness and wake up ripped. You got to be in the gym, trying and failing to lift those weights over and over again, and then eventually you're going to start to see some progress. Business is the same, if not even more like that. Learning about business is cool, but if you're not in there trying and failing every day, you are wasting your time.
Yeah, very well said. And actually, I do use that same analogy too. Is like, in fitness, you can learn everything about lifting weights and stuff like that and study the hell out of the thing. But if you're not hitting the gym, and if you're not eating right, you're not going to see those results. And it's the same way in your ecom business that, you can study all these gurus and learn all the tips, but if you're not taking action, you're not out there testing for yourself to figure out what works for yourself, you're not going to see the result.
Yeah, and there's one more point too to add to the whole testing thing. Every failed product test is going to lead you to something, some more information is what I'm trying to say. Every product that fails, you can analyze that and say, this is why this product failed. And then when you launch your next product, it's going to be better. That is the essence of trial and error, is that with every failure, you learn something. And people, when they step into this game or any online business or any business, they're scared of that failure. They resist that failure, but that failure is what shows you the way. And like I said, I didn't always know this, but once I was able to notice this and realize this, I started leaning into failure. I started trying to throw myself into chaos a little bit more, so I can learn those lessons faster than everybody else.
And it's the mindset and perception about it, like even being willing to test and be willing to fail. And even then, it's the data that you're walking away with. So even if you, say for some drop shippers, they're starting their business and they put money behind some products, and then, say they didn't, it wasn't a winning product, it wasn't profitable for them. But I mean, they learned from that. They learned, they had that data to work with to then try the next thing, or a different form or whatever, right?
Exactly. You got it, bro. I mean, just like the podcast, right? Like your first podcast, you probably was like a little more nervous or a little hesitant. You didn't know.
Oh, yeah. I sounded like a robot.
Right. You go in there, you have to do a podcast, and then you build up the personality that you're at right now. It's the same principle.
It's that period of, learning, you got to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And it's just a mindset thing. So I'm really glad that you're touching on this for sure, which is awesome.
I always study like Greek philosophy and Stoicism. And the term that they use for this is called katabasis. And basically it means to like put yourself into that period of like pain and struggle, because every time you come out of that a better person. yeah, that's something I'm big on.
Wow. Yeah. What book did you read that in?
Well, I read a lot on stoicism. That's a term that is frequent across these books, but that one actually came from Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. Ryan Holiday has a bunch of great books on philosophy. Ego is the Enemy is also a great book from him. He's probably
Wow. Yeah, and doing the research, I did catch that you were a big reader, and so are you still keeping up with that? What's the importance of reading?
Well, people always say that to me, like, bro, how do you read, or why do you read so much? But it's funny, in my life, reading only accounts for like 30 minutes a day. But over the course of reading 30 minutes a day for a year now, I mean, I'm to the point where I read a book a week or a book every week and a half pretty consistently. So,
Wow.
I do read a lot, but it's not like I'm sitting back for hours each day reading. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and consistency, right? So it's just being consistent about it, and it's a part of your daily habits.
Yes,
Wow.
that's the key to seeing massive progress. Is that consistency. Like if I tell myself, Jordan, read a book a week, that sounds like a crazy goal, right? Like it just doesn't make.
Yeah.
But if you say read 30 minutes a day, read 45 minutes a day, that's doable. Everybody has 30 minutes.
Very true. Yeah, for sure. And I even tell that to people when they're starting, to take action, at least start in their store. We have events where, we're helping the newbies get started. And literally, I mean, really it's less than 30 minutes, but I tell them, give yourself an hour to change your life and just just take action. And yeah, something like that, it's really small and something really to do. One thing that I did catch on, and I thought this was like really powerful, and I want to bring it. It was in your Instagram post, and I thought this was so cool. And I'll read an excerpt from it. You said, "I'm gonna love you till you don't hurt no more, and when I'm older, you don't gotta work no more."
Yes.
And I thought that was so powerful. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's from Kanye's song "Hey Mama." It's a classic song, but that's a post that I put with my mom because my mom is like my rock, man. She, out of everybody, because like I told you, I've been doing this entrepreneurship stuff for a long time, and at the start, everybody thought I was crazy. Everybody didn't believe in it at all. They was, you need to get a job now. You need to go to school. Even like a lot of my teachers and stuff. But my mom, the whole time, she rocked with it and she supported it. Even when I was making no money, she always was there. So
That's
now
awesome.
our bond is stronger than ever before. She actually started her own business as well after
Awesome.
and I helped them with that. And it's just cool to see. I think for real, when you're working on your goals and when you're pursuing something, it has an effect on the people around you to push them better. So it's brought us closer. And yes, shout out to my mom.
Yeah, no, very powerful, man. I did catch on to that, and I thought it was just so awesome of you to do that. I mean, even for myself, like my family's involved. A little background about me, two boys, they're teenage boys now, around 14, 15. My wife, mother-in-law, and I tell even people on the podcast, like, I treat my business like a family business. I got each of them launching their own products, and we're sitting around the dinner table talking about what products are popping off. And each of them getting their own level of success of that ownership, and it's just so powerful. And I was just like, man, I just treat it like a family business. And the way you laid it out there, I was just like, man, that is just so powerful. And now to hear that she's starting her own business as well, I mean, that's great.
I love it, man. And that's what it's all about, bro. Because at the end of the day, especially, I don't know if some of these guys watching this have a successful business or they're just getting started. But once you do start to get some success and make some money, you realize that wasn't your primary goal, was to have a certain dollar in your bank account. The big goal and the big thing that brings fulfillment, at least for me in my life, is being able to help other people, especially the people that are close to me, elevate and get to where they want to be. And the best way to do that, like I said, is just working on yourself and being the best version of yourself. And it radiates outwards from there.
Very well said. Yeah, that's powerful stuff, man. You know what? Another thing that I did catch on, what's the story behind speaking at that UCLA Young Entrepreneurs panel?
Yeah.
I thought that was cool.
Yeah, well, shout out to this guy. His name's Richard Yu. He came to one of my first events this year in January. We got connected there, and he actually goes to UCLA. He manages the UCLA Entrepreneurship Club. I don't know the exact terminology, okay, but that's what he does. And he actually put together that whole event. So I can't take too much credit for that one, man. He put that together. He already knew me. He invited me and took me out there. But for me, it was still a cool thing. You know, even though I knew the person there, to be able to go to a college that I would have never gotten into and get to speak to, I think it was like 80 people in there.
Yeah.
No, that was cool for me. And not to mention, I got to meet some awesome people there that I'm still friends with to this day. Actually, my lawyer that I use, I met him there. So, you know, all the things,
That's awesome.
all the things really work out, and it was a fun day. And Vince was there, and yeah, it was a fun day.
Oh, really great stuff. Yeah, yeah, I did catch on to that, and I thought that was just like so awesome and really cool that they put that together. Because like even in your journey, I think in doing research, so like you said, you started college but then didn't finish because your business was popping off, right?
Yeah, I went to college for a year. And I want to add one point about this whole college thing. Even though I went to college and I didn't like it, I still put the work in, right? Like I still
Yeah,
studying, I still was getting good grades. And I think that's an important thing to note because I think some people, they are put in a situation that they don't like, but they spend a lot of their time like complaining about it and not actually doing anything. And that just drags you down. Honestly, the one thing college did help me with is building up a work ethic. But anyways, I went to college
yeah.
here,
Well, I'm
and
glad that you touched on that for sure. I mean, I think that's very important. I get that question a lot from people, wondering should they go to college or not. And, for the audience, in Jordan's example here, I mean, he's pushing himself, harder and beyond, what college was able to teach him and, reaching that success. And you just got to be honest and true to yourself, if you're doing, something to that nature as far as is college the right path
yeah,
for you or not.
to go into that of if college is the right path, I don't have all the answers, but my perspective
Yeah,
on it, at least the thing that swayed me to leave college was that I already had something blooming. Okay. I didn't leave college with an idea. I didn't leave college with some dream. I left college because I had something that I needed to focus on. So I think that if you're currently in college, if you're currently working a job, don't leave those things right away until you
yeah,
can figure out a system or a stream of income to support you. And then, yeah, take a break. Because, look, if I really wanted to go to college, I could go enroll right now. I could go back.
yeah,
Next year, I could go back. Next year, I could go back. Like,
yeah,
so once you have that thing, then it makes sense. But I'm not the guy that jumps out and tells everybody, drop out of college, drop out of college. Even though
yeah.
it's not the best financial investment if you don't know what you're going to do. Yeah.
Yeah, no, very well said for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the best we can say. And for the audience, you're in that situation, you're asking yourself, you just got to be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
And yeah, really good stuff. So, and I forgot where we left off, but one of the things that I was actually curious about is what was the story behind launching events when you got into being an event, what do you call it, an event planner, or what do you call
We'll say host. We'll say host. But
it?
you know what? Funny story. I actually hosted my first event when I was 16. It was an entrepreneur event. It was like a sneaker convention. Like we rented,
Wow.
yeah, we had rented out like one of the biggest convention centers in Fort Myers, my city that I grew up in, and we had over 150 people show up there. We had like 10 vendors. It was crazy. At that day, that was when like I knew entrepreneurship was it for me for the future. But anyway, that was when I got started with events, bro. That was the first one.
And
But
you were 16 years old?
yeah, 16.
Wow, man, that is awesome.
Yeah, but with the e-commerce events, it's funny. I'm actually wearing the shirt right now. I know it's a
Yeah.
podcast, but
Well, even to touch on, because I did catch one part, when you started that. What was a lesson learned from that first event, too?
oh yeah. Well, what I learned, I learned a lot from that day. But
Ah,
the biggest lesson that I learned, man, is that it's okay to fail, and with every failure, you're gonna learn something. The same lesson that I started this podcast with, that was when it was really ingrained into me because that event on the surface level was freaking awesome. We had 100+ people in there, vendors having crazy
wow.
collections of shoes. People were happy, making money. It was a good day. But then when I got home, I didn't make any money from the event. I was like, wait, what happened? Like all day, I was watching my mom take this cash all day. She kept showing me the register throughout the day. I was like, oh my God, we're gonna kill it. And then I count the money and we lost money. I was like, what? So
oh no.
it was a good thing, man. It was a good thing because for me at first, you know, you feel that pain, you have to sit with that pain, but it shows you that like it's bigger than one small failure or one small hiccup. Like that led to what, you know, I think it led to what I'm doing today with the Underground Earners. And
no, that is so awesome. And yeah, I mean, that was awesome. Even, you know, that your mom was helping you out back then as well. And like you said, learning from that and not giving up. So like, what was the journey? And we'll touch on the Underground Earners event, but was there any events in between your most recent event and there? Maybe describe that for the audience.
Yeah. So actually, the Underground Earners event was like a follow-up to an event that Vince Wang. Are you familiar with Vince Wang?
Yeah.
Basically, it's like one of my best friends. Like
wow,
guy, very very crushing it. But anyways, we got connected when I moved to LA. We wanted to figure out a way that we could, you know, help our audience because he had an audience that he hadn't really done much videos or anything for. And we decided to do an event. So we did one in January, and it was like a mini version of the Underground Earners event. We had a nice house. We had a great speakers. Really, that event was so crucial to the success of the Underground Earners event because it gave us like the framework. And not to mention, that event was really fun. People got some crazy testimonials. Like, man, like, there's a crazy story I'll tell you about one of the attendees. But yeah, it was awesome. The events are by far the highest ROI and fulfillment than any other business that I'm a part of right now. The Viral Vault is amazing too, but trust me, the events, man, when you're finished on that day and you get to see all these people just happy, motivated, smiling, like can't beat it. You can't beat it. Can't beat it.
Yeah, very true. Yeah. I mean, kind of like in parallel, like right now, me being in Chicago, and just to give you a quick background, you know, I started the podcast like Tech Money Talks is really about, you know, teaching about all the money making opportunities that technology can bring. But then I realized, you know, towards the beginning of the year that it was just way too broad. And even just up to that point, touching on the topic of drop shipping and e-commerce, you know, I got that endorsement from Player FM about, you know, being the #1 podcast for drop shipping to watch out for in 2019. I was like, wow. And I was like, well, what if I actually just like focus on that and just block out, you know, all the rest? And I did. And that's where things have just been blowing up exponentially. But the point I was trying to get to was like, along the way in focusing on it, you know, I also was looking in Chicago. I was like, well, what meetup groups, what events are like popping off here in Chicago? And there wasn't anything. So me and a few guys here that are crushing it, we put together a meetup group in May, and now it's grown to like 100 members. And we've been doing like these monthly events and even weekly like workshops to help people at different levels, either if it's getting started or, you know, scaling or, you know, product research, that sort of thing. But I feel like, and I'll probably have to reach out to you later, which is like, you know, I feel like we might be approaching, once we grow to hundreds of members, that I think we need to do a conference or an event or something.
Well, you know, the biggest thing that I think separates our events and the biggest thing that I think allows our attendees to have the best possible experience is the fact that we don't do a big event with hundreds of people. And I think that maybe you could the same thing. The key takeaway that all of our attendees said was their favorite thing of the event is that it's an environment where you can network and connect with these people that are at the level you want to be. And it's not like high pressure, like hundreds of people lining up to talk to these guys or nothing like that. It's a couple people hanging out in a nice venue, and you could get to know and network with these guys, and also, you know, hear them speak on what they know. For you, like when you say go bigger, maybe that's what you want to do, but try to keep it personal. That is the one thing that gets people results in events is like personalization, really helping them specifically.
Yeah, well, maybe that should be the takeaway then. Yeah, because I mean, I'm not really, sure where it's going to go, but I do have that understanding what you're talking about, which is people are walking away from events. Like our very first event, people walked away like they left a Tony Robbins conference. They were like so fired up and pumped up and
Yeah.
ready to go, take on e-commerce. And I was just like, wow, like this is actually pretty exciting. So, maybe that's the thing. If it's working, kind of like what you're saying is that, keeping it more close
Yes.
knit, which is pretty cool. That's awesome.
Most events aren't doing, and that's why it stands out.
Really good. Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned that for sure, man. Well, in your journey in working with events, how did that lead up to your event that you had just recently?
Yeah, well, like I said, the one that we did in January, going into that, I had that one experience of doing the other event, but no other event experience, even in the entrepreneur space. But I don't know.
Wow.
We just sat and we planned it out. We thought about how it looks, how it's going to go, the structure. I mean, me and Vince probably sat in my apartment for like 5 hours, just scratching ideas. This one sucks. This one's good. And then we start to build up a picture of how it all can look. And then it's just a matter of piecing it all together. So really where I started with the whole event was studying the other events in the industry and figuring out what they weren't doing. And also figuring out for the people that go to a lot of events, what is their favorite part? And we built the whole thing around that. And that's why it stands out because not to go too much into this, but like Blue Ocean strategy is something that I study heavily.
Yeah, I read that. Yep.
Yeah. And Underground Earners is the example of a Blue Ocean, where our events are very different than everybody else's, and the value that comes from it is way higher than all the other ones. So it's natural that the brand goes on to be something great. But I don't want to, toot my own horn, but I know that it's going to be big. I know that it's going to be something awesome. Yeah.
Well, that's what you're here to do, is to toot your horn, man. Yeah, don't hold back. And even for the audience, if you didn't catch that, that's a really good book, which is called Blue Ocean Strategy, and it's more about the mindset of finding those opportunities, something that's underserved or gaps, that you can find these opportunities. And just the same way like Jordan, described that, I mean, they evaluated events and what can they do, differently and better and fulfill people where they haven't been fulfilled at that level before. And
exactly. Yeah. Like
crushing it. Yeah.
Specifically inside of that, like Blue Ocean thing for the event, we took a step and we looked at what is the things that most events are competing on. What are they competing on? What they were competing on for the most part is having a crazy big venue, selling the most tickets, trying to have some over-the-top experience. And if you notice, every event is coming out doing something even bigger. Like, oh my God, we rented out the MGM. We have 500 seats, like crazy stuff. It's a never-ending cycle. So it's like if you want to jump into an industry that has a lot of competition, like dropshipping, right? Everybody is going out there. They're launching the same type of products. You got to approach it slightly differently. You got to figure out where is that gap in the market. So really with dropshipping too, start by studying the other people that are killing it and the other stores that are killing it and go from there. You can really reverse engineer any business. Every business I've built, I've reverse engineered the whole process.
Wow. Great mindset. Yeah, for sure. Hopefully the audience caught on to that, which is, just that mindset of like figuring out what's working and then what's a way to do it, differently or better, because that's the way you're going to stand out. Man, that's awesome. And actually leading into that, which I thought was like really good, because you also started Viral Vault, which I think helps people down that path. So can you tell the story, leading up to, starting Viral Vault?
Yeah, the Viral Vault story is a long one, and I'm so passionate about this company, man. And the story for Viral Vault is in its infancy. This business is just getting started compared to where it's going to be. But I've been running Viral Vault for about a year, and to be honest with you, I started it with a partner. and we built the company for like the first 7 months. But along that path, it was very apparent that we weren't going to be best fit for working together. We ended up going our separate ways. And in this 4 months of me being solo in this company, it has elevated to heights that it never saw before. We developed an entirely new platform. We've been on the ad side of things that I don't talk about that much. We've been crushing it on the ads. So it's just like there is a crazy thing brewing here. And not to mention the most important thing that I can't believe I breezed past, we're literally getting testimonials inside of the Viral Vault Facebook group every day. Like
wow.
every day, somebody goes in there and they post, oh, I got my first sale. Oh, I got my first $300 day. I got my first $1,000 day. Like with my course, we were getting testimonials, but not that frequently. So this really is big, man. This is something that's going to change a lot of lives. It's going to change my life. And it's awesome. It's the first business as well that I have a real team of employees. I have over 15 people right now between my operations team and the development team. It's starting to scale pretty crazy. So yeah.
Man, that's really awesome. And even describe that. So actually, maybe even to take a step back, maybe describe for the audience so that they can picture what is Viral Vault and what service does it provide.
Yeah. So simply put, Viral Vault is the all-in-one ecom toolkit. When I decided to create this, I took a step back and said, what are the major 3 problems that people are having when they're getting started with an online store? The first one is products. If you don't have a good product, it's impossible to build a great business. And there's so many ways out there to find products. And to most people, it overwhelms them. I wanted to create a way where you can consistently have good quality trending products delivered to you with everything that you would need to promote them. So we give people the product images, the title, the descriptions, pricing. We give them Facebook targeting, a video ad. We give them competitor sales data that's updated daily. And we basically are like a one-stop shop for the products. And it doesn't stop there. The second thing is that strategy. People are all over the place with their strategy, bro. I'm sure you know this. There's so many videos there. There's so many ways to get started. People are all over the place. So I wanted to create a simplified approach to getting things started with e-commerce. With my first course, I had over 100 videos in there. It's like hours and hours of content. That got results for some people, but for the majority, it's overwhelming. It's way too much content. It's advanced topics. It's not for everybody. So with Viral, I created a simple strategy that I call my 7-day challenge, where you can go from nothing to building your first store, launching your ad campaign, and getting your first results in 1 week. And then we have a crash course for what to do after that first week and build it into a real business. And then the last thing that we provide is with community, because I told you guys my story and that I had my mom supporting me, but everybody else didn't, at the start especially. And I know a lot of you guys deal with that. You don't have the support. You don't have the people around you to motivate you. So that's why I made the Facebook group for this, where I brought in a few ecom experts and myself included, where we do weekly live streams, answering any questions that people are having. And anytime somebody posts a question in there, I'm usually the first one to answer it. So we give you products, we give you a strategy to test those products, and we give you a community of people who want to see you win, myself included. So like I said, it's the all-in-one toolkit for starting and scaling your store.
Really cool stuff. And would you say that it helps people from whether they're newbies or maybe they've already started in some form, but they maybe want to step up their game, that it'd be worth it to join?
Viral Vault is optimized for new sellers or people that have tried this and failed it in the past. If you're somebody who has massive experience with e-commerce, you can join Viral Vault and you can get value out of it. But it is optimized for getting you started with your online store. And that's why the results are so consistent, because I've been able to laser focus on one target group instead of trying to sell this to every entrepreneur in the entire world. We're laser focused on one group of people and helping them succeed. So yeah.
Really awesome. And it sounds like, so even with the products, you guys are keeping up to date with like trending products and things like that. Maybe describe that for the audience.
Yeah. So it's funny, after I built my first 7-figure dropshipping business, in the process of that, I built up a pretty advanced team of marketers. I built up a video ad guy. I have a copywriter. I have a product researcher. And after I took a break from that store, I had these people still on standby, and I had these people that I was still communicating with every day. And for me, that was honestly one of the starting factors of Viral Vault, that I had this team ready to go that helped me get to 7 figures. Why not allow them to work with others and help other people get started? That was one of the biggest breakthroughs I've had last year, for sure. That is my team. That is the team that helped me get to 7 figures, and I literally share them with the world. And the team is ever growing.
Powerful.
We had like 4 on the dropshipping store, and like I said, now it's up to about 15. And I'm about to bring in a major player tonight. I can't speak too much on it, but major. So yeah.
That's awesome stuff, man, for sure. Yeah, you're building it up for sure, and I actually even got me interested in it. So I'm gonna be looking further. But for the audience, so how do we find Viral Vault? So for the audience, how do they gonna find you?
2 ways. You could just go to tryviralvault.com, viralvault.com, or you can just Google Viral Vault. We got the SEO going, so we were the first one that pops up. So yeah.
Yeah, we'll be sure to leave the links and the names in the show notes for sure. But
also
really
got
awesome stuff.
Instagram page. Not to cut you off, but we have the Instagram page too, where you guys can, because I know I made that claim earlier that we're posting results every day. Don't believe me? Go to the Instagram page. It's right there. You can literally.
That's awesome stuff for sure. Yeah, I mean, and it sounds like, and maybe even talk about that, like some of the student success stories, because I mean, I think that's where people can get like a real visual as far as the students that are having success.
Yeah, man. The craziest one that comes to mind, there's a lot. There's multiple. As it currently stands, we have 5 people that have gone from nothing to over 6 figures a month with all our products. Not doing all of our products. But anyways, the one that comes to mind is this guy, a boss. Me and him were homies like at the start of Viral Vault. He was one of the original users, and he would always ask me questions. He would always be testing, trying to figure it out. And at first, using our products, he failed a little bit. He tested, it wasn't working, but he kept testing. That's the real point that I want to make here. He kept testing, he kept learning, he kept optimizing. And by the way, this was before we had all the training content inside of Viral Vault. So really, he was the basic version of Viral Vault. And within 2 months, he ended up building his store to over 6 figures a month. Once again, this is all documented. If you go to Instagram, we got a video of me and a boss. We was actually in LA together a couple months ago, and we were just having dinner. I didn't plan on filming a testimonial or anything. We were just talking. He was telling me his story with Viral Vault, yada, yada. And then after that, he's like, hey, bro, he's like, I'd love to share my story with Viral Vault if you don't mind. And it's pretty funny because that video ended up being like our best ad to date.
Wow.
And he was the one that offered to film it, So it's like, it's pretty cool. And that's not the only one, man. Every day we're helping people get started online. And we're really, really, really to the point where we want to start helping people scale too. We have some crazy things coming for that as well. You'll see.
That's super awesome for sure, man. And so even to look at it from another angle, what's been the motivation for doing this and wanting to help others?
Yeah. Well, what I learned is that it's like certain things in life bring you a certain feeling, right? Like sometimes if you're going somewhere, like for example, for college, it brought me a feeling of I'm going to do it, but this is not the long-term plan, right? With Drops, I got so passionate about building my store. I was so into it. But once again, I knew that doing a dropshipping store is not going to be my long-term plan. With Viral Vault, I see the long-term potential. I see this business 2 years, 3 years, 4 years from now. And this is the first business that I've ever had that I really see the massive, massive long-term potential in. Not saying that I didn't see long-term potential in e-commerce, but for me personally, that's not what I wanted to do. I always been interested in tech. I always been interested in software. And this ties directly into my life. It ties directly into e-commerce. It ties directly into what I already was doing before Viral Vault. And it lets me throw myself into a whole new industry of software. And it's fun, man. It's really fun. I can't really complain. It's hard. It's challenging. Every day is a challenge, but I wouldn't trade it for the world, you know?
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that's powerful, man. Yeah. And I could see it. I mean, just that level of fulfillment. Like, I mean, up to this point, you're not just doing it for the money, but it seems like there's, something deeper in run. If you're just doing it for the money, you'd just be running your own drop shipping business and not sharing it with the world.
Well, look, I mean, I'm just like everybody else, man. I'm definitely trying to make some money, but
yeah,
if it was for the money, there's a lot of different routes I could have took. Software is not one of those businesses that you're profitable right away. Maybe people might think that. Maybe that's a very, very, very far from the truth. It's so massively expensive to start one of these businesses, and it is so massively expensive to maintain a team of this many people. So to be honest with you, we take a financial risk with starting Viral Vault, with building that new software to the point where the company does not make money for a little while. And that's something that I'm willing to do that most people aren't willing to do. And that's why I know that the business is going to go on to be something incredible. Just like the same way I took a $500 to $1,000 financial risk in starting my first store, this time I take a six-figure risk in starting a software company. So it's like, these are the things you do to elevate. And the rest will be written as we proceed each day.
Very well said, for sure. And I mean, you're treating it and running it like a business, man. Yeah, I think you touched on a lot here, which is just really great. And just to hear each journey and your mindset reaching that level of success has just been awesome. And still up to this point, it still feels like, man, this is just the beginning, because I feel like you're going to be creating some bigger and better things for the years to come. So I'd say for the audience, definitely you want to keep watch of Jordan. He's he's crushing it now, and I would say going to keep crushing it even further. And actually, that even reminds me, is it cool to follow up with you like later in the year to see how things are going? Get you back on the podcast.
Absolutely, dude. I mean, I'm totally down. You should pull me in 2020, start of the year. Watch what happened with Viral Vault. Watch what happened with my event company.
Yeah, for sure. Man, that would be so awesome. Man, this is great stuff. And so as we get close to wrapping it up, I want to give you a chance to leave some closing remarks with the audience. So I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, look, if you made it all the way through to the end of this, man, I could tell that there's something inside of you that you want to start your own business. You want to get started with dropshipping maybe. The one thing that I would say to you if you're in that position is just get started. If you got a little bit of money and you got some money coming in, just take the risk and get started. You're going to fall on your face a bunch of times, perhaps more times than you maybe have ever failed. But with every failure, you're going to learn something new. It's going to push you to be great. And eventually, you're going to crack the code. You're going to start hearing a bunch of them cha-chings, and you can go from there and build something great. And deeper than just Shopify, this principle applies with anything, man. So if you guys feel like you've been putting something off, if you feel like you have this big goal that you're striving for, but you just can't get started, you definitely can, and you should. So that would be my one piece of advice. Stop thinking about it, stop researching, and just start.
All about taking action, man. Great stuff, for sure. Well, Jordan, thanks, brother. Man, I really appreciate your time. This was awesome stuff. And yeah, keep crushing it, man. Keep it real.
Yeah, appreciate you, bro. This was a good conversation for sure.
So I want to thank you for listening to this episode of Tech Money Talks. I hope everything was helpful and thought-provoking and somewhat entertaining. If you want to learn more about this topic, please let me know so I know what to focus on in future episodes. My goal is to teach people how to make money with the opportunities that technology can bring. And if you like this episode, please show your support by subscribing, leaving an awesome review. And in the meantime, you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. My tag name is Tech Money Talks. Thanks again. I'll talk to you in the next episode. Peace.